My daughter, 18 female, is dating a 51 male now for 2 months. How do you deal with this as a parent? Hello. I've debated posting this for the world to see, but I don't really know who to talk to about the situation. My teenage daughter, 18, has found herself a boyfriend who is 51. My husband and I do not support this at all, to the point where she moved out and is living with him now. He is older than both of us, and we are worried for her, but she and local authorities say it's none of our business now. Has anyone experienced this? How do you deal with this? On top of being an empty nester now, the way this all came to be was so sporadic and bizarre. I am very depressed and I just don't know how to just accept this. It's been 2 months since she left. Help, thoughts, advice, literally anything you can tell me about this would be greatly appreciated. No one in our inner family even knows because I'm afraid to tell them. Comment 1. Bring him on in, and then spend the entire visit reminiscing about the good old days, something she would not relate to about your childhood, i.e., Challenger exploding, 9/11, or something similar in your area. Make her uncomfortable with the conversation because she has nothing to add. If you isolate her, you will lose her. Comment 2. Making her realize her boyfriend is on the same level as her parents has got to give her the ick. Like, if this doesn't work, I don't know what will. Comment 3. You have to do this slowly because they know you don't approve. So you just say you don't love the relationship, but you love her, so you're going to try to be happy for her. Then you start inviting them over for dinner to get to know them better. That's when you just ask him general get to know you questions. His job, where he grew up, his family, where he went to college. Oh man, did you have computers yet when you were there? Because we just started having labs. I went to college with a word processor. He's 3 years older than me, and I legit did. Comment 4. Kill them with kindness. Coming from someone who dated older men and my parents disapproved, resisting will push her further into his arms. You have to be smart. Invite them over, treat them like you would a friend, ask age-appropriate questions. Where did you go to college? What was your first car? What kind of sports do you like? Does your husband golf? 18-year-olds think their parents are so not cool. Few things will turn a girl off, like her boyfriend and her dad palling around, killing the relationship with kindness. Comment 5. Years later, and I still loathe saying this, but I was in your daughter's place at one point. There's a lot I regret about that entire situation, but one of the hardest parts was when I told my parents and they did the exact opposite of this suggestion. I had a very good relationship with them up to that point, and then suddenly they couldn't contain their anger, yelling and crying. I got kicked out of my family unit for months at a time, only to be begrudgingly let back in and pushed out again soon after. I knew my parents were acting out of fear and love, so I didn't hold it against them, but they did make it impossible to work through my emotions with familial support and cultivated an environment where I felt like it was my predictor and I against the world. I strongly believe that if my parents had followed this advice, I would have gotten out of that situation much quicker. It might not feel like it, but there is an outcome here where your daughter saves herself and you can remain close. Just keep that outcome in mind and let it guide you in every interaction. Comment 6. Not much you can do. Remain a safe space for her so she knows where to go if things turn out bad. Comment 7. Wait it out. She is going to learn this is a mistake and be there when she does. Comment 8. Make her teenage rebellion uninteresting. Invite them over frequently, get to know him, keep them close so you can tell if there is any abuse. Also, make a ton of shared cultural references that your daughter would be too young to get, like music and the time before the internet was ubiquitous. She'll be fine as long as she doesn't get pregnant. Story 2. Am I the donkey for not letting my neighbor's kid ruin my lawn in the name of imagination? I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood with your standard backyard, some grass, a few old trees, a weathered shed. Nothing fancy, but I try to keep it tidy. I'm on polite but not close terms with most neighbors. We wave, sometimes chat about the weather, but that's about it. There's a family 2 doors down with a boy who's maybe 9 or 10. Lately, he's gone full pirate mode. I mean, fully committed. eye patch, cardboard sword, yelling, "Ye be cursed," at squirrels. Honestly, pretty wholesome. At first. Then I started noticing small holes in my yard, just little ones near the fence. I assumed it was raccoons, but then the holes got bigger. One morning I went out and found the ground behind my shed completely torn up, with clumps of grass tossed around and a map pinned to the tree with a stick. Eventually, I caught him out there mid-dig. I asked him what he was doing and he straight up said, "I'm hiding my treasure. No one must know. This is the perfect hiding spot." I told him calmly, "Hey, this is my yard. You can't dig here." He got a little huffy but ran off. I figured that was the end of it. Nope. Next day, there's a new hole. Bigger. A tin lunchbox half buried behind the shed. I dig it up and it's full of Pokemon cards, fake jewels, toy coins, and a few crumpled $5 bills. I bring it to his mom and explain what's going on. She immediately gets defensive. No apology. Just a heavy sigh and a, "Well, he's just using his imagination. I think it's sweet." I told her I didn't mind the creativity, just not in my yard. She rolled her eyes and said, "Can't you just let him have this? It's not like your grass is that nice anyway." That one actually stunned me. I said as politely as possible that I didn't want holes being dug on my property by someone else's kid. I handed over the box and left. That night she sends a long text telling me I humiliated her son, crushed his imagination, and created an environment where children can't feel safe being children. She said he cried for over an hour and now thinks I'm the villain in his story. Her words. I didn't reply. I get it, he's a kid. I didn't yell, I didn't shame him, and I even gave the stuff back. But I'm not thrilled about my yard being turned into a sandbox and getting insulted for not being okay with it. So, am I the donkey for drawing a line and not entertaining a pirate storyline that involved my yard getting wrecked? Comment 1. Not the donkey. His mom needs to teach him to respect others' property. You don't get to do whatever you want as a kid in the name of using your imagination. Maybe he should use his imagination to pretend that he buried his treasure in your yard while actually leaving it intact. I think that would be a more constructive use of it. His mom is on the hook for teaching her kid to channel his creative impulses into productive endeavors, not destructive ones. When he grows up unable to properly establish relationships, he'll realize that his problems stem from the fact that he was never taught to respect others. When that time comes, he'll see that his mom is actually the villain in his story. Comment 2. Save those texts. Kids are kids. They do childish things and sometimes it's destructive. That is where their parents are supposed to come in. Unfortunately, his are not willing to be parents. If he reported this before talking to his mom, authorities would have just told them to knock it off. Since you have proof you brought the issue to her attention, the mom can be in trouble if the kid continues to trespass. It might be smart to contact the non-emergency police line and ask about making a report. This kid is causing damage to my property and I am potentially liable if they hurt themselves. Their mom is not taking the situation seriously. I don't want to press charges or anything now, but I do want it on record that the parents have been informed to keep their kid off of my property. If you can, get some cameras up. Not the donkey. Comment 3. Agreed. Also, it's a liability concern for OP to allow the neighbor kid to play on and dig up her yard, trips in one of the holes he dug, or otherwise hurts himself in the process of digging. If so, then OP could be facing an injury claim, and given the neighbor mom's attitude, she seems just the type to blame OP and make a stink if her kid were to get hurt on OP's property. In fact, I would suggest OP put it in writing to the parents that their yard is off limits to the kid, and probably consider posting a couple no trespassing signs as well. And obviously, not the donkey, OP. Comment 3. My first house, I was renting. I made the mistake of being friendly towards the neighbor kid. Big mistake. Kids don't automatically respect adults. You tell them to knock something off, they'll just stop until you're out of sight and go back to it. When I moved out of the rental into the new place, I decided I was going to nip that in the bud. New family moves in, and the little creeper next door, 8 to 9 years old, is peeping in my windows like a little weirdo. So I waited for him to round the corner of my house while he peeped into windows. I jumped out and yelled, "Wah! What are you doing looking in there?" Waved my arms a bit, just made a bunch of noise. Kid looked like he poo-poo his pants. Runs away screaming. He's a teenager now and still avoids me and my house. There's something about imprinting a wee bit of fear. Comment 4. Not the donkey. You might consider responding along these lines. It's unfortunate that your child reacted so strongly to my reasonable expectations concerning my property. Your child damaged my lawn repeatedly. I haven't asked you to repair any damage. I have simply asked that you parent your child by having him respect other people's property. I have been polite and reasonable towards you and your child. Despite this, you needlessly insult my property and persist in responding as though I were the one at fault. While it's great to encourage a child's imagination, good parents are able to do this without it harming others or their property. I wish you luck in navigating this and your other parental responsibilities. Okay, something like this, or responding negatively to her in other ways, may be satisfying. However, if you think she may cause issues for you in the neighborhood, you might simply ignore her. Comment 5. Since you don't see a problem with your son's actions, my children will be encouraged to use their imaginations on your property in a similar manner, and I will react the same way you do. If you find you don't appreciate this, let me know. From that point on, if I find your child digging on my property after telling both him and you that he is not permitted to do this, I will get estimates for all property damage he causes and expect you to reimburse me for them. Whether that is financial reimbursement from you or his helping me with yard work can be arranged. If you decline to reimburse the cost of repairs, I will be taking you to small claims court and obtaining a cease and desist order so that the next time he steps foot on my property uninvited, he will be legally trespassing. As a minor, that makes you, as his parent, responsible for his actions. Keep in mind, this could all have been avoided if you had just parented your child as initially requested. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye!